Hey everyone, I'm Artie. This is Turbo Sliders Unlimited, an arcade racer. The game was sent to me, I didn't buy it. Keep in mind that my opinions are my own and the in-game music's off. I've spent over 10 hours in the game, so if you're wondering what kind of arcade racer Turbo Sliders Unlimited is, I'll tell you. Imagine walking into a restaurant. You pay for the table and are seated on a wooden chair without a cushion, and the table is made of steel with no tablecloth. You call the waiter and ask for a softer chair or maybe a glass of water. The waiter pulls out a shopping cart icon and says, if you want a softer chair, pay more. If you want a fork, pay more. If you want a better plate, tablecloth or napkin, pay more. Each time he points at the shopping cart icon. So you think, sheesh, this isn't even a Michelin star restaurant. So you say, okay, the chair is fine and I don't need a better looking table. I came here to eat. Can I have a menu? Suddenly another waiter shows up, dragging a tray full of vegetables, various meats, a portable oven, a pan, and a bunch of kitchen utensils. The first waiter says, in our restaurant, we give you everything you need to cook your own favorite dish. Some people might think that's awesome, a cooking adventure worth spending time on without needing to go out shopping, right? But then there are people like me who'd say, if I wanted to cook my own meal, I'd stay home. I came here to eat something special, something the chef of this restaurant would prepare for me. I don't want to cook, I want to be served an exquisitely designed dish that works on all my senses. Now, if you're like me, imagine the waiter smiling and saying, perhaps you'd like to try something made by one of our other guests at table 1. They've left, but you can still enjoy the food they made. You glance over and think, even though the dish looks good, and I respect the guests who made it, I still want to try the chef's special. The waiter frowns and replies, but this is a community-driven restaurant. The chef offers people all the tools to make their own dream dishes. That was the idea behind the restaurant. You think, okay, the idea of people gathering together to make and share food actually sounds good. But then you look around and realize that you're the only one there. So you turn back to the waiter and say, but there's no one here and I'm hungry. I don't want other people's food. I don't want to cook it myself. I want the chef's menu. The waiter sighs and tosses you a menu. You scan it and ask, but there are only 2 items on it. What's the chef doing here besides letting people make their own meals with his tools? And that, my dear viewers, is Turbo Sliders Unlimited, a community-driven arcade racer with all the tools you need to make and share your own content, like tracks, cars, events, and campaigns. It all looks good, but sadly, only on paper. You can of course disagree with me, but the reality is that every game, especially an indie game, needs a solid single-player mode. And all the community-driven features should be an addition. Yes, there are a few exceptions, but even if a game is multiplayer-oriented, it should have solid AI friends or foes for people who want to play alone or for times when there are not many people online. But okay, let's talk about each aspect of the game, starting with car customization. In short, it's an illusion of making your own paint jobs. It begins by limiting us with a maximum number of paint operations, which means we can only lay 2 layers of paint on our car, unless we pay for more. We see there are 16 different car models, but oddly enough, in single player mode, we can only choose from 4. All the car models look strangely familiar, as in a one-to-one copy familiar, but it's okay. We have paint settings, the sphere tool, stripe tool, decal tool, pattern tool, and advanced tool. That sounds like a lot, right? In reality, it's just 2 paint filters, a painting tool, 1 stripe that we can size, position, color, and mirror, and 5 basic textures we can also size, position, color, and mirror. We can duplicate them and call it a pattern. If we want more, we have to buy one of the 12 customization packs, either separately or in bundles. We can double the number of paint layers for only $5.99. Pay more! But wait, it gets worse. We can only choose from 16 different paint colors. If you want a red car, you can't. You'd have to pay extra. Forget about the color wheel. Now, let me talk about this pay for more practice because I have an opinion on it, especially when it appears in an indie game. Imagine me saying, if this video gets 20,000 likes, then I'll release another one. You'd be like, dude, you get 300 views on average and you're asking for 20,000 likes? We'll go watch someone else, right? All kinds of paywalls, especially in indie games, are a horrible and quite delusional practice. Let's briefly talk about another illusion in Turbo Sliders Unlimited: settings. We have level selector, vehicle selector, event settings, and AI settings. All of these are here to let you make your own custom game. And yes, it's quite detailed. We can adjust physics, damage, tire wear, plus all the different options for various game modes like sumo, soccer, and capture the flag. So if you're into making a custom game to play solo or with a friend in split screen, you can do that and should be satisfied. If you want to create and share content like campaigns, levels, or even cars, it's possible, but with some limitations. There's even an AI editor to create AI lines, which we'll talk about in a minute. The level editor is semi-user-friendly. It looks more like a dev tool than something made for casual players. Everything is text and slider-based. Map and car models are pre-made. I'm not sure if you can import your own models, and honestly, I don't care, because I want to play, not make. Just know it's there and check out the Steam Workshop if you want to see what's possible with all the editors in the game. I called settings another illusion because all of that doesn't really matter if the core game isn't good. By the core, I mean the driving model, progress, rewards, single player mode, and overall satisfaction. Single player includes campaigns, custom, and quick game modes. The chef's 2 main dishes are the time trials and race challenges campaigns. I hope I don't have to explain what a time trial is, so I won't. It's actually one of the only 2 campaigns I somewhat enjoyed. Even though I was all alone with only a ghost car as my opponent, it was an okay experience. All the levels prepared by the dev are regular circuit tracks. My first thought was, why are there no championships? There are pit stops and there is a fuel tank feature in the game. That feature is used only once during time trials, and I'm not even sure if it's used in race challenges because I didn't finish that mode due to the driving model and the AI, which we'll discuss soon. Anyway, time trials were okay, but then something random happened. Suddenly there was a platformer-like track where my car had to dodge moving obstacles like spinning walls and climb up a huge pipe to the finish line. Oddly enough, I enjoyed this level the most. It's the only one where I earned 3 stars. So why isn't there a campaign with only platformer levels? Why isn't there another campaign with championships? 10 lap races where we actually need to refuel. Instead, we get a handful of regular circuit tracks, 1 platformer track, 1 fuel tanking track, and a couple of stunt tracks, all packed into the time trials campaign where we just race against our own ghosts. If you think that sounds random, let's look at the race challenges. The first few tracks are standard circuit races, and then, out of nowhere, our sports car starts shooting missiles at other cars. Next level, the opponent cars are ghosts. The level after that, a regular race. Why isn't there a separate campaign with 5 to 10 stunt track levels where we shoot missiles at AI opponents, or a regular championships campaign, or a Drift King campaign on stunt tracks? I think I know why, though it's just a guess. I think the randomness in the campaign mode was intended as a little showcase of the game's features, with the rest meant to be filled in by players. Hiding behind community-driven is a big L, in my opinion, and frankly, it's BS. Cook for us, chef. In other words, I'm highly disappointed with what the single-player mode offers. And let's not even get started on the idea of sports cars shooting missiles with no visual attachments. That just feels cheap. Lastly, let's talk about the driving model and AI opponents. There's not much to say, honestly. The driving model is mediocre, to say the least. Like I mentioned, we can choose from 4 different cars, but the only real differences are that one is fast, another has insane grip, one has no grip but good acceleration, and the last one is an average of all these stats. Turns are not smooth. There's something I call flea jumps, where when I hit the arrow key to turn, the car makes a rapid turn, but immediately starts resisting the turn until I hit the brake key. Oh, and by the way, there is no handbrake in the game. All the cars feel like bricks. I cannot quite describe it, but the physics feel very linear, basically the opposite of dynamic. Sure, cars roll over sometimes or shoot into the air when they hit a bump, but it's all very stiff, not smooth at all. Drift cars look and feel like hovering DeLoreans. The average stats car is the most fun to drive, while the one with maximum grip is just straight up annoying to control. Overall, the driving model isn't terrible, but it's not good either. What really made me quit the Race Challenges campaign was a combination of the driving model and the AI opponents. Basically, AI cars follow an invisible line. You can even create your own AI lines for different tracks. If you are in an AI car's path, it'll just push you off, but if you try to push an AI car off the road, it almost never works. They feel glued to the track. Every time a race with AI opponents starts, it's a mosh pit, shaka bra, where you get pushed around until they either shove you off the road, which means you'll have to restart, or you're lucky enough to escape. If you do get pushed off, restarting the race is pretty much your only option. On top of that, AI cars don't lose speed when they go off track, they respawn faster, cars of the same type are faster than yours, they have better grip, and they barely lose speed in turns because they're following those AI lines. It got so unfair that I ended up feeling frustrated, annoyed, and anxious, which isn't what a game should make you feel, right? So I decided not to continue the campaign and moved to quick races and even tried some multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, aside from one time I played soccer with others, I was the only person online. And yes, I played the game for 3 to 4 hours at different times over 3 to 4 days. Turns out there are no guests at the restaurant, so no community to drive this game. Visually, you can see how the game looks, so I will not state the obvious. My ratings for everything the game offers, the editors, settings, options, modes, it would be a 7 out of 10 minus 2 points for the paywall. Single player campaigns get a 2 out of 10. Driving model, 5 out of 10. Shame. It could have been great if the chef had cooked more. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very, very, very much for every single subscription and thumb up. See you in other videos on the channel, and that would be it. Bye.